Down, and the people gather go round. Da 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 da.
Where they move
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
You gotta hear the sound
Of the cockroach are done. Oh, patience. I got you, girl. I got you. Cockroach done, you know, one of those amazing movies, dramas, everything. And it was for all the family, you do know. Yes. Oh, my.
And the producer.
The amazing, the excellent veteran broadcaster, producer extraordinaire, the Dan Jicken Kebi himself.
Oh, God.
Peter Igho.
NFR.
One of a kind. My name is Thelma Obaza. Welcome to Weekend Do. I'm not alone. Of course, you've already seen the princess, the old school damsel, Patience Eloyaba.
Yes, I'm here. And I want to start with a question. What is it about our old classical iconic movies and music that we love so much? I mean, the Nigerian entertainment landscape has so evolved for good. Why are we doing this? To celebrate the people that made our memories beautiful, and also to see what is good in the past and make our present more formidable. It is your favorite weekend show, Weekend Deal, coming to you from the network service of the NTA. My name is Patience Eloyaba. Today it is Echoes from the Past. Blast from the past, if you ask me. Now, why are we doing this? We're doing this to see what we can bring into this present time to make what we have now more formidable, and to take us through or to start a discussion and set the tone for our show today is a backgrounder. Let's see this.
Yeah, the traffic never jams. Don't cost much to buy some yams. And the neighbors say hello. And we strive to put you up, no down below. You can even hear the sound of the cockroach at dawn.
Semicolon, Grotto, The Funkies, Fela Nicola Okuti of the Abamieda Group, Ify Jerry of the Hikers. The jazz, rock, funk, folklore and soul music, old Nigerian TV classics, movies and shows have the theaters. I wonder if we will ever get there. Will we ever make it? Will we ever hear the sound of a cock crew at dawn? Weekend Deal reverberates acres of the past. As a throwback, with our dear Patoni Odili on the conga drums at 97, hits the chords, relieving the Cardinal Jim Rex Lawson.
Rex, his records are all very, very meaningful. Words of advice. At times, if he's singing, you think he's preaching Bible. Up till they name him pastor, bishop, cardinal. I picked two of them. Somebody like
Celeste Uku, his songs are meaningful, like Rex Lawson.
Well, gentleman Mike Ejah, what we read in Animal Farm, where he used animals to describe actually socialism in Russia those days. That's how Mike Ejah used fairy folk music to blend people together. Own folk music is different from the folk music because he plays a box guitar. With the box guitar, the rhythm, the lyrics, the melody is something to write home about.
I'm a G. G for general. She was a drunk. She once ran, when she was younger, she ran a beer parlor. And then she was always attending to all these trailer drivers that come in the night and then travel in the night. And the man has seen that the business has swallowed his wife up, and there was no other way to bring her out of the quagmire apart from, well, let's do this since I have a younger wife. And then my character was not allowing anybody to rest.
We had the Yoruba people shooting celluloid, actually, like BC, the daughter of the river, was played on celluloid and all that. But then it was the Nollywood that actually brought the home video and packaged it for us through Nebo Kenneth when he did Living in Bondage, which has become one of the evergreen movies. Living in Bondage, Rattlesnake, and Akinokwa. Well, Akinokwa was comedy. Before Akinokwa came, we had one comedy, Okwa, which was done by Kemo and Sam Loco. So everything that I wrote in Akinokwa, they were the activities that I did as I was growing up with my peers. So the guy didn't know my story. So after writing that thing, and because he didn't actually believe in comedy and the story I was writing, the kind of thing I wanted to do, he didn't take it serious.
We must play with the time. I mean, in the then times, we don't have this type of cameras. The world has changed. You must change with the world.
It's Weekend Deal. Let's deal a throwback on acres of the past with these legendary Nigerians.
Phenomenal, Uju. That was an outpouring indeed. Well done. You threw us right back to amazing times and amazing experiences. You are a part of Weekend Deal today, Nigeria. Wherever you are in the world, please feel free to share your experiences. Let your messages start trooping in at the moment. We have a special guest, but not yet time to introduce him. Right now, we're going to touch down in Lagos. And there's a lot of talk about classic old movies. Lagos, tell us, how far back did you go? It's time to share.
The story of television in Nigeria is a fascinating journey that has spanned decades and has undergone significant evolution, from humble beginnings to a thriving industry driven by technological advancement, changing audience preferences, and the growth of the Nigerian film industry. These classic television shows capture hearts and minds, painting vivid portraits of culture and life. The iconic Village Headmaster was a classical series that aired from 1968 to 1985.
Mr. Yoda, J.A.N. Did you know if we have seen advocate, then you are junior advocate. So, Mr. Yoda, J.A.N.
Cockcrow at Dawn was a soap opera in the 90s that told the story of a fictional rural community in Nigeria. Super Story and Icheoku not only entertained but also reflected the essence of storytelling.
Well, they were wonderful shows. You could say they were well made, in spite of the fact that these days technology has improved on the quality of production. But then the producers then, directors, artists were conscious of the impact that such productions would make to the society. Take, for instance, productions like Kokora Dawn, Supple Blues, Fuji House of Commotion, so on and so forth. These are iconic productions that people would rush home to watch. You could say, okay, then you had basically NTA as the only outlet for viewing of any program, like now where you have so many channels and so on and so forth. But then people were glued to their screens, not necessarily because it was only NTA, but because of the quality of the productions and then the meaning they derived from such production.
There's no reason for you to watch and say, I like this drama, without taking one lesson home. So it was more interesting then. And I make bold to say that classics will always remain and be a part of us. That's why it's called a classic.
The rise of television entertainment and the Nigerian film industries were largely influenced by groundbreaking movies like Rituals, Glamour Girls, Domitila, and the much talked about Living in Bondage, which was released in 1992 and became a classic Nigerian cinema.
Living in bondage, he started asking his friend, you did not introduce me in this way, you did not tell me it will happen like this. That is exactly what happened. That is why we are telling our children, don't join a friend because he's a friend.
Yeah. I remember watching Full Moon, Glamour Girls, Across the Bridge, Living in Bondage, then TV series like This Life, Super Story, that's in 2000s and late 90s.
80s, those days, there's a film we normally watch like Zebediah and other films like Papa Jasko, you know. So those days, the film, I can say, is fun.
Before the entertainment industry transitioned, VHS tapes and CDs were in vogue. They gave movies a more visual appeal from their dramatic pictures and captivating titles, which were largely handy. The movie industry evolved with video distribution using the video rentals and video outlets. How did it phase out?
It had to be phased out when the time came, because people no longer have the device you play it with. So where are you going to play VHS? Of course, you know there was a time when if you didn't have a CD, you are not going to listen to music. But now, you don't even, in fact, they're streaming. You don't even need to bother your head about recording anything.
It faded out because of the fact that people were being self-centered, people were greedy for money and all that. So video rentals, as far as 2003, 2004, was history.
These classic TV shows and entertainment that shaped a generation are more than nostalgic memories. They are a testament to the power of storytelling, creativity, and resilience of our culture. These shows have left an indelible mark on our collective psyche. They have shaped our values, influenced our perspectives, and inspired new generation of artists, writers, and producers.
That was really nostalgic. Now I am excited and I'm trying to contain my excitement because it's time for us to delve into our conversation. And joining our conversation now, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the Weekend Deal Studios a man we refer to as a doyen of TV production, a man who has his name stamped on so many iconic TV shows, a man other who's tutelate a whole lot of us cut our teeth in TV production. We honed our skills under him. He's been doing so much and he continues to do more. There's something about the NTA. It's not like other organizations where you retire and you go. We are a family. And like children of a family, they go and they come back. So it's our singular honor. Thelma and I, as a matter of fact, because she's sitting here all excited. So welcome to our studio, Chief Peter Igho, MFR.
Thank you very much.
Baba!
Home.
Yes!
Back home.
And this home welcomes you very excitedly. You know, the world will say Doyan. The world will say veteran broadcaster, producer extraordinaire. We will say Baba.
Baba. That's good enough for me.
Baba, we say thank you.
Thank you
First
very much.
again for honoring this invitation and for being the father that tutored most of us in broadcasting. And it's that fond memory that we entered NTA with that has kept us here to date.
I'm glad to see that. And you guys are doing very well, I must say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well done. Keep the flag flying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You taught us well. Baba, now, this is the NTA of today. You know, ladies, you know, we always like to follow fashion, the truth. We make our trends here.
You're all looking good and great. And you remind me of yesterday years.
Yeah! And
Your
it's those
hairdo
yesteryears.
and your star rapper. My mom had some of that.
Amazing.
So that's good. It's a good link to the past.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you, sir.
So is that fantastic, amazing past we want to bring to the fore today and see how we can wrap it around the amazingness of the day and make it sell and sail.
Yeah.
Baba, let's journey back.
I'm good to go.
Always. Even without the train ride.
No problem.
Amazing movies, iconic movies is what NTA is known for. And most of those movies you had first-hand attachment to. Tell us about a few of them and
TV
what
shows,
it took to bring them to the table and make them exciting for Nigeria and the world, such that up till now, people still speak of them.
Yes. Well, first, let me, because when they talk about me, everybody goes, Kokoro at dawn, Kokoro at dawn. But let's give first credit to those who were there before me.
Oh, nice.
And before me, NTA was known for Village Headmaster, Samanja, and Masquerade, and one or two other studio-based programs from other stations. But one thing they all had in common was that they were all studio-based. They all produced in the studio. And you saw for Village Headmaster, you saw Amebo's Bar, you saw the Olojo of Jazz Palace, all in the studio. Every part of the story was built, the set was built in the studio. Same with Masquerade, same with Samanja, all in the studio. Then we came on the scene, and I was employed at NTV Sokoto. At that time, television stations were owned by the stations, no federal government station. That was 1975. So I was a pioneer member of NTV Sokoto, Sokoto's Northwest State Television. Then 77, NTA was born. All the stations were put together to now become what we call the NTA. When it became the NTA, in 1978, the NTA, to showcase its oneness, organized a drama competition among the 12 stations. I was in Sokoto, as you remember. I wrote, produced, and directed the entry from NTV Sokoto called Moment of Truth.
Yeah.
We came first. So, fast forward, when now there was something unique about Moment of Truth. The fact that even though it was mostly in the studio, I was already restless. And I grew up in Jos in the cinema practically. And with cinema, I was out there on locations and all that. So I felt constrained in the studio. So I started taking drama out of the studio bit by bit. I will borrow the news cine camera, shoot a few sequences outside and integrate them into, and that's how come why I'm credited with inventing the shooting on location, moving drama out of the confines of the studio. So when a few days later, the president at that time came up with Operation Feed the Nation, the NTA, under Engineer Maduka, the great pioneer DG of NTA, I had also come up with an idea to do an agricultural program. So they said, why don't we do an agricultural program that will support government endeavors? And because I was the producer of the winning entry from Sokoto, I was brought from Sokoto to Lagos to put together that agricultural program, which became Kokoro at Dawn. So Kokoro became the first in many ways. It was the first ever drama series to be shot entirely on location. It was the first drama series. No more studio.
Moved entirely
Everything out on location. It was the first with its own dedicated, composed theme song and music. Of course, I brought my friend in, Bongo Zikwe. It was the first that had its own disengaged equipment. These days, or those days, as a producer, if you wanted to produce or shoot, You book for the camera, you book for vehicle, you book for this, and then they assign you when you're free. But Cockroach was the first that had its own equipment dedicated, vehicles dedicated, and crew dedicated. Now, there's another significant thing that is unique that made Cockroach what it is today. In the studios at that time, the cameras available were huge, humongous video cameras. And those were the things available. There were no portable video cameras. At that, none existed. Nobody knew where they were coming from. So to shoot Cockroach Dome, the first 13 episodes I had to shoot on film. That means I shot on 16 millimeter camera. And because there were no facilities to treat them, to process them in Nigeria, as I shoot without seeing what I shoot, because you shot your picture separate and your sound recorded the sound separate. So you now send your film to London where it's processed, and then they send you a report to say it's okay. Then when we finish, then I then travel to London to sit with the editor, put the pictures, sit down with the picture editor, and we edit. Then I bring the seat with the sound editor, and we lay now the sound onto the track, all the sound, all the foods, all the effects, and all that. It was a huge, incredible task. They brought in sponsors to look at the program. And when they all saw it, they couldn't believe it. I mean, this kind of quality from Nigeria, shot on location, and of course there was a scramble to sponsor, and UBA came on board. That's why I went back with UBA. And I meant to with UBA. So UBA came on board. Again, for the first drama series that had corporate sponsorship on the program. So Cockroach, then, we shot the first 13 episodes on film. And then when we came back, by the time we shot the first 13 episodes, it was expensive, of course, as you would know.
I can imagine.
Shooting that, each roll of film, 10 feet, you shot that film and you sent. Now, because it's so expensive, you cannot afford to do take 1, take 2, take 3, take so many takes. So you have to rehearse your cast very well. And your cameraman, you must plot your movements very well. Because when he starts shooting, you don't see what he's shooting. There are no monitors on the film cine cameras. So you have to have a cameraman that you believed and trusted. And I had an incredible cameraman, Alhaji Yusuf Mohammed, who had worked in the film units with the expatriates and the film Ministry of Information at those days. So I had that kind of camera. He's late, unfortunately. So he was my cameraman. Then after 13 episodes, and because the cost to NTA was so prodigious, someday the DJ now sent for me and my cameraman and said, look, thank God, a new camera has come up. It's a video camera, it's portable. And that's, so we want you to now go and see it. So they sent me and my cameraman to London to see how this portable new camera was being used, electronic news gathering camera, they call it ENG cameras. So we now got that. That's why we were the first to bring it down to start using what everybody has taken for granted now. So that is
now we have the 4K. Funds, nowadays for production, and then the hands and the ingenuity that we can bring to bear to continue to churn out excellent production. But I'm being told that it's time to touch base in Lagos with some phenomenal young man. You have a splendid opportunity to be sitting in the same space with one of broadcast royals. With one of broadcast royals. So we welcome you, Tolu Awobi. You are in Lagos. And I'm told you have a profile. Please come on in and nourish our conversation. It's one of a kind. Welcome to the Weekendy Studios. How are you doing this morning? How is Lagos?
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the opportunity to sit in front of film royalty. Opportunity to sit here and just listen to him just felt like going to film school. The experiences he's sharing just take us way back to, what we are enjoying now. And we realize that we're standing on protocol to be able to do the work that we do now. And thank you so much for joining the program, sir. Thank you for this opportunity, NTA. It's our excitement to hear that all of what we do today had the foundation in the work that eminent people like Mr. Peter Igho, did while he was in time. Let me call you Baba, as everybody calls you.
Well done. You're doing very well.
Okay. Thank you so much. First, I think I'll come back to Baba. The crew you put together, it's exciting. How did you source for your cast? The casting these days is a big deal. I'm going to ask Tolu the same thing, but let me see how you did your casting in those days, and Tolu will tell us what it's like now getting a cast together.
In those days, well, now you have a proliferation of people who have trained, who have decided to be actors, professional actors. Those days, for Sokoto, for example, there were no professional actors. So what we did was, if you wrote your play, most of us were writers, producers, and directors. I wrote most of my plays. So you write your play. But for me, in writing, I usually visualize who I'm going to use as each of the characters. Yeah. So by the time I finish, I already know who's going to play this, who's going to be that or that. But sometimes when I finish, I then walk around. You find that most of those we can use. I was in head of drama, the only member of the drama department. So when I did Moment of Truth, for example, Madaze was the transmission controller. And talking to him, I knew that I wanted him to be part of. Sadiq was to come later. I used Sadiq as one of the doctor in Moment of Truth. Sadiq Dabara became So I walked around and looked at people and just selected them. Most of them had jobs they were doing. So you will have to schedule your production to when they are free from or when they will be released from their places of work. Before we started, I already knew who I was going to use as Beatrice because I had Sadiq with me in Sokoto. I already knew who I was going to use as Larry, the sister. Because when we did Moment of Truth, the lead character was Tola Wobode, and I was going to use that and all that. Then I realized that I had someone in Jos who looked like Sadiq and George Menta. And when you put them together, you think that actually they're father and son.
Father and son.
The same dark, tall,
so he
lean
fit
and
the
hungry
role
look.
very well.
The lean and hungry look was there. And so I got them. The problem was Zemaye.
Okay, that's Eno Lodger.
Eno Lodger. We had problem. I got everybody. In fact, we were on set. We had moved to location when we without Zemaye. So everything was going on. The actors were being rehearsed. When I was going around, I called Sonioti in the University of Jos. He brought all the ladies in his department and went through all of them. I said, none of them. I would walk down the street.
But what were you looking for? What was that phenomenal
somebody,
thing you were
because
looking for?
I had the children.
Yes.
Sadiq and Larry.
Yes.
And I needed a lady who would pass for their mother. I
So
already
what
had the
quality
husband,
were you looking for?
but I also needed somebody who could also be a natural.
Okay.
If you notice most of my productions there, I didn't have all this phone, all these and all that. I just chose people, and I said, and I also say, be yourself.
Be yourself, be natural.
Just be natural. So you'll find that that's me and Tosi and them. That's Tosi. So I said, just be natural. And that was how we did. And then, of course, it was when we almost were going to start shooting, when we realized that we would have to have a Zemaye. So Sonioti said, look, I had one of my students who is in Makurdi. She's left, but can we bring her? I think she may work. So they sent for her. I sent a vehicle. They brought her.
From Makurdi?
Yes, from Makurdi. So how many hours of journey? And they brought her straight from work.
No
lodger. As Sonioti had told her, listen, whatever you're doing, drop it. This young man in Jos has come up with a new series that we believe is going to be very successful. And he's so anxious to get someone like you, and I recommended you to drop whatever you're doing. So she did that from work. They picked her straight to set. And I was sitting down that evening when she walked in, looking pretty and too young. And I said, sorry, this won't do. And she just sat down there dejected, almost in tears. She had given up everything. She had come all the way. And then for me to simply say,
sorry, this won't do.
So I said, okay, look, sorry, maybe I'm too abrupt. Please, I called makeup people, say, look, touch her up. She's too pretty. Make her
pretty, like a mother in the village.
Let her look like a mother of Sadiq. And so they touched her up and did all that. she padded herself up to get
Yes,
look
to add
more like
some
Matrone
gas.
because she had too many curves. Anyway, so
Finally, she got the part.
She got the parts.
Okay, as exciting as this journey is, you know, we need to just take a break now. And guess where we're going next? To the beautiful, cool city. And that's where I had the privilege of meeting the Danjik and Kebi at Nigerian Television Authority, NTA College at Rayfield. But we're going to Jos now. Jos, tell us more. What's happening as we talk about the echoes from the past?
The intimacy and bonding days of early generations were shaped by cultural heritage and limited access to technology, which led to a lot of social activities such as outdoor games, dances, traditional crafts, storytelling, just to mention but a few.
The recreational activities have evolved over time. In the 70s, people are mostly outdoors. Children are mostly outdoors, playing in the sand, like kids to come, clap your hands, 10-10, you know, and they had this ayo, you know, the olive fruit, that's the olive seed, they use it to play. They had an amazing time in the 70s. They were always almost outdoors.
Taking a trip down memory lane, adults and children used to tell stories and folklore under the moonlight together as bonding time, learning some morals from the stories as a form of entertainment, which also helped to shape children's life, creativity, social skills, teamwork, and culture. From this early practice, Nigerian Television Authority created Tales by Moonlight to help promote the moral upbringing of children through folk tales.
Now that you've listened to my first story, what did you learn from this story? It is not good to be going to strange places alone. Clap for him.
Tales by Moonlight is a beloved Nigerian Television Authority program. It was initiated by Ezokoli. The main reason for creating the Tales by Moonlight is to instill our children the morals. You hear the story, mother will tell the daughter, please, as you are going out, don't allow anybody to touch you. And that girl, the daughter, will be afraid. Even if boy near her, he will tell the boy, my mother say, nobody should to touch me. So there was discipline.
Today, technology dominates playtime with many children, mostly indoors, on iPads and phones, spending hours on screen.
In the 90s, when technology started coming in, then of course they started drifting from that physical attraction to being attracted or addicted. The word is actually an addiction to gadgets. Their friends are now their iPads and their phones, and they are just there living a sedentary life. So I don't think it's very healthy. It's the generation we have now, parents are too busy. So they find solace in just giving their kids the phone and going to do other things.
I don't know how to play iOS with 10 in the olden days, but I can play on my iPad, my mom's phone, and the TV, and on the laptop.
In the 1970s, technology has significantly impacted both adults' recreational activities and children's playtime, leading to both positive and negative consequences.
Positively, it has some impact. Also, negatively, it has some impact. What are the positive impacts? With technology, you can learn a lot. You can learn other people's culture. You're here. You're learning things that are not within your own community. That's one good impact of technology. But also, the bad impact of technology is we're losing that social contact and social development.
As the society keeps evolving, it's essential to strike a balance between technology use and traditional play, ensuring that technology enhances rather than replaces traditional forms of recreation and play. Therefore, there is need on nurturing morals and promoting a healthy lifestyles for the generation to come.
Okay, it's always heartwarming to see things like that. Okay, so I'm going to talk to Tolu now in Lagos. You know how Baba has told us how they started with these humongous cameras, what they had to go through to get a scene recorded. Well, we know that it's evolving and the story is different now. Tell us your experience from how you're using technology and even in casting and all that. Tell us what the terrain is for you now to tell your stories.
You see, what we, just listening to him help me see is how, a very formal industry has become quite an informal one. When I look at my story of how I became a filmmaker, I used to work in the banks, but I, suddenly realized that there was new technology around. I could pick up a small camera. I started out with a small camera, the 5D Mark II, which is a DSLR. It basically does all the engineering, all the technologies right inside the camera. You just quick settings and you're able to shoot. Unlike the big cameras that they used to have before, where they needed a major setup to get it to work. And then from there, I transitioned to what would be a GH4, which is even a smaller camera but has a higher capacity to shoot 4K. This was about 2014, 2015 when we shot our first film. And from going from just shooting in your neighborhood to shooting a film that goes straight to cinemas. And all of a sudden, in 2016, we're able to put that same film, on Netflix. And all of a sudden, I'm getting calls in my living room from Finland, from Canada, saying, "Oh, we watched your film. It's so nice. Would you like to come to a festival?" And I'm still, I don't even have an office. I'm sitting at my dining table. I write my script like Baba said. While you're writing your script, you're thinking, who is the guy I'm going to use? Oh, I think I'll use this actor. Maybe I will use Adesua. And I need a funny guy. I'll use Files. And that's how I put together this, story that went on and became one of the biggest films released in cinemas in February, which was a time where most people didn't go to cinemas. And all of a sudden, we suddenly saw an industry start to emerge. All of a sudden, a lot of young people coming out from, holding small cameras, shooting big things, and putting it out there. And I guess the advent of technology and globalization, most of what we learn today, we just go to YouTube. Want to find out what this is, you type it in, somebody asks you a question, you're able to, Google it and answer those questions. And so for me, I never went to a film school. I just basically sat there on the internet and learned and continue to learn. And today, one is able to, access information that would before now have been impossible to get. And I think the best part of it is that we're continuously learning. Technology is changing, the cameras are getting bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. And as long as we're able to do this, as long as technology is available, we're able to advance in the kind of quality of work we're doing. Today, there's even 8K. The last film we shot, and I love when Baba was talking about shooting on location. We shot across 7 states in Nigeria, right? We started out in Lagos, shot in Ilesha at the waterfall in Irinjesha, moved from there to Benin. From Benin, we moved to Onitsha. We shot across the Niger Bridge, moved to Enugu, shot in Jos, shot in Kaduna, and came back. And we had 80 people in that entourage as we traveled across Nigeria in November and December, and we were making a film called The Artifact. And this wouldn't have been possible, I must say, that we stand on protocol. It's Baba stepping out of the studio and going to do stuff on location that gave us this opportunity. And thanks to technology, we're able to leverage the things that we saw. We grew up on all those things they're talking about. Nobody's mentioned Behind the Clouds. I loved Nusa. That was my hero. That was the guy I wanted to be like. And and all of that was shot in Jos. Young people coming together, doing great things. And that's exactly what's happening in Nigeria. I think right now, the industry employs over 1 million young people doing things on their own. And you were asking the question of how we come together. You just reach out to a DP, and then DP reaches out to the lights guy, the light guy reaches out to the sound guy, and everybody's developing themselves, reading on the internet. and, doing better things. And of course, I would imagine that the government can also help this by creating, again, bringing back the structures we had in those days and giving opportunities to people who are interested in these things, creating film schools, film incentives, creating infrastructure, creating opportunities for people to follow their dreams, because that's exactly what we did and what we're encouraging the young ones following us to do. And I don't want to take too much time talking about all the opportunities that's happening around us in Lagos, in Abuja, in Enugu. I'm talking to filmmakers from all over Nigeria, and they're doing great things.
But what we Nigerians may be asking now, how are we using this talent to write our story, to write the Nigerian story, these unique experiences we're facing now? What ought we to do? Are we now writing movies for money? Are we writing to celebrate our country? Do we have enough stories celebrating Nigeria and telling people who we are?
We have countless stories. I mean, it's endless. Look, if you go back a bit, you'll find that when NTA was set up, and the unique thing about NTA at that time was you had, when all the stations would come together to show, broadcast what we call NTA network programs. Then at specific times, they go back to their own local programs. NTA at that time when it started was because of the initiative and the understanding of the chief executives led by Maduka at that time, that on that NTA network, only efforts, productions by Nigerians was allowed on the network. Every program you saw on the network had to be produced by Nigerians. In the local stations, you could show foreign films, you could do all that, but not on the network. The only time that was broken was years later when, of course, that led to, it was a roller coaster thing, when somebody came up with Mexican films and introduced it on the network. That was the first time a foreign program was shown on the NTA network. And of course, to do that, they stopped NTA producers who were actors from producing. If you were an actor, they said, no, you must resign to be an actor. So that damaged a number of programs. NTA Village Master was on air because some of the staff were actors, like Dejimo Lewis. They said, you have to stop acting. Of course, he didn't want to stop acting, so we rested the program. Behind the Clouds, we had many of our cast staff, the Sadiq Daba, Madaze, Eno Oloje, all staff acting the program. But because the instructions from headquarters that was that if you want to act, you must stop, resign, and go and act. So they all had to rest the program.
But Mark Author Form wasn't an NTA star.
No, he wasn't. He was no, sir. He was from outside. But that simple but malicious instruction damaged medicine. It was when, because of that, most NTA programs were all sponsored, went off air. And when they went off air, of course, nature opposed the vacuum. Some of the producers, like, for example, Chris Obirapu, who was the one I sent to Enugu to direct Masquerade, and many of them had no job to do. So, of course, some of these marketers called us, look, NTA had created the need for the moving image. Why don't we, and they're no longer producing this, why don't we put something in place? That's how come they came together and produced what became the first Nollywood program, Living in Bondage.
Whoa!
So that was the transition. But anyway, and you asked me whether the moment she dressed up, she got the part. And I said, unfortunately, she didn't. Not on that at that point. I had to then test her in front of the camera. After I've seen what you look like. Now we've made you up to look a little more elderly, but can you act? So I went on set in front of a house, had her in front of a counter, peeling lemons, looking well. And then somebody runs out and says, Mama, come. The old woman is dying. And she drops the basket and she gets up and begins to run towards the house. In that moment, I got my Zemaye. That's how come she got the part. So she
nice one.
Part, but also
nice
could
one.
act the part. Okay. So we took a lot of trouble to get our parts, as you can see from Enology. Then you also asked me during the break, why the anxiety to move from the studio to the location? Was it not difficult? It was difficult. Nothing good comes easy. But of course, in doing that, you move away from the comfort of the studio, the ease of the studio, and all that. Then you move out to the exigencies of wind and weather. You are shooting, the wind that the weather changes, you are in the rain, you have to then move away. Sometimes you arrange your shooting, let's in front of this house, we're going to shoot at 6 p.m. But when you go at 6 p.m., the sun is on the wrong side of the business. And you find that you cannot do that. Then you change again. So there's a lot
It wasn't
of
easy.
difficulties, but
It wasn't
nothing good
easy.
comes
Easy.
And
And
we knew that, and we made sure.
We want to ask Tolu on your word now. Nothing good comes easy, Tolu. There are many young people in Nigeria at this time who are looking up to Baba and now are looking up to you. You spoke about Netflix, talking about the 8K camera, How can they come on board? How are you able to bring them into your team or to inspire them with your work? How are you grooming them?
So I think the best part of our industry is the fact that, we learn by observation, right? I love the way Baba spoke about the fact that you get out there and you start to figure things out as you go. So I always tell people nobody's going to teach you. Nobody's going to put you in the class. You are going to learn from the ones who have gone ahead of you. And we are learning from, I'm learning from what he's saying and how, these challenges that we're facing now were faced back then when they came out of the studio for the first time. And, I spoke about the project where we were going on the road and, you get to a bus stop and you realize that there are policemen there and you want to shoot there. You have to go from being a director or a writer to becoming a producer who has to think about how do I negotiate with the policeman to allow me to shoot in this place. And then you move forward, further down, you get to another environment. The problem is the sun, the angle of the sun. Or you are running out of sun time because you need to shoot during the daylight. And so, one of the ways we share this knowledge is experiential. I tell people I do not teach. I tell the young ones I'm not going to teach you except you ask me questions. I'm just going to do it in your presence. You're going to see me do it. And if you can, take notes. If you can, observe and learn. And, what we also do a lot is, we do a lot of internships. So somebody comes to me and says, I'm interested in making up. I'm doing makeup on set. I call somebody who's very experienced at it and say, could you take this person on, and pay her something small while you use, you leverage the knowledge that you have and, take this person on the project. So many people have come, to me, so many young people come and they say, I want to learn how to use the camera. And I say to them, I have a camera in there. Why don't you take it to the streets? Go shoot something. When you bring back what you shot, I question, I go through, I say, no, don't do it that way, do it this way. And even for us, we continue to learn as we watch the foreign programs and we're looking at them and saying, what's the style they're using? What's this director using? What style are they using to write? How are they developing the technology? How are they leveraging the technology? For us, it's important that we're able to transition, or as we're learning, we're also sharing that knowledge with the next generation. I'm always walking around young people all the time because that's the only way we stay fresh and we continue to grow.
That's quite refreshing. And one thing, my takeaway from that is the fact that we continue to learn. Baba just talked about his challenges, and some of his challenges are
Baba was going to London to edit.
Yes.
And now you can edit across
countries.
Wow.
And the beauty is, some of the challenges Baba faced, they're still facing.
Yeah. History is being made right now.
Thank you. Baba say our studio is incredible.
Yes. Amazing. When I walked in here, it was, I said, oh my God, am I in the right place?
Baba, we want to thank you for coming on weekend. Whenever you come, we don't know how to stop.
Anytime,
we don't know how to stop.
We
would love to call you again and again. Oh, thank you so much for making the time. This is your family.
It's your home.
Thank you, Baba, for making the time. We've been having this fantastic chat with Doyen of Broadcasting, producer extraordinaire, veteran broadcaster, the Dan Jikenkebi, Peter Igho. And also a big thank you to Tolu in Lagos. Tolu, keep making tracks, okay? Keep making tracks. Nigeria is proud of you. Well done.
Well done.
Our last and final break beckons. We'll see you on the other side. Don't go away. Stay with us.
Muchenja halimon, muchenja tunanemon, muame chede junamon, Nigeria kasar muchenja halimon, muchenja tunanemon, muame chede junamon, Nigeria kasar Nigeria kasar muche babu watar ranam senan bamuda watajiha se Nigeria mujarashi kowa se ya jidadi nkuma mumbata ya musa suwahala una hear me so unity we want. Make we come together in love. Nigeria is our home.
Cats out of the bag.
All right, another guest is joining us. He is Mr. Olarewanju Bekelulewa. Bekeluluwa. Welcome to the Weekend Studio, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So it's about echoes from the past. And I'm sure, I want to ask a question. Do you like old school music?
Yes, I do.
Old school movies, do you like it?
Yes.
And do you watch, are you into the current music and current movies?
Yeah, I switch in between.
So tell me, what is it about these old classics that we all love? Why do you love them?
While I was here in the studio, Baba said something
Baba.
that, yes, we have to have a way of telling our stories. And there's no way, if you don't know where you're coming from, where you're going will be distorted. Okay? So why I love old classics, because it has been part of us, way back, while we were growing up in the 70s and the 80s. And then, those songs actually shape us, who we are today. And then you can't have this up-and-coming artist without going back to know our source, our roots. So that's what actually brought about what I also did recently, documenting the history of legends, the grandfathers and the grandmothers of Nigerian music.
You documented visually or you're writing?
Writing and visually.
Fantastic. I can't wait to see what that will be like.
I can't wait.
But you know that he played with Balamila.
Wow.
So we have royalty amidst us today.
Music royalty.
Great to have you with us. What was it like? You were playing there with the likes of Balamila, and now you are playing with young children, teaching them how to sing, dance, and learn instruments. What was it like?
I think we heard what our father, Igho, say. We must impart. That is, as Daddy impart in you, I too have to impart before I go leave this earth. We know that nothing you do that is a waste to our children like this. I am doing my own, I'm presently doing, I'm still now imparting the knowledge God have given. And without it, when you die, where are you going with the knowledge?
Noma, when he said the music of those days shape who we are today, and the one music just came to my mind, from my area, what's gonna be, gonna be. Hey, what goes up must come down. What's gonna be, gonna be. There's nothing you can do about it. Let's go again, everybody. What's gonna be, gonna be. What goes up must come down. What's gonna be, gonna be. And there's nothing you can do about it. What's gonna be, gonna be. What goes up must come down. What's gonna be, gonna be. There's nothing you can do about it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And there's nothing you can do about it. Wow.
I love my job, and I love you guys. Amazing.
Now tell me, what was your experience documenting this?
Well,
how was it?
It's been encouraging and at the same time challenging. I've been on it since 2013.
Okay.
And that song you just rendered by Bonko Sikwe,
yes.
I was with Bonko Sikwe about 3 days ago in Benue State.
How is he?
He's fine, 82 now.
Yeah.
But he told me he's 28. So it's been quite challenging, but we are where we are today. I've been able to go and we are still on that project.
Any sponsorship?
But do you have a timeline? 2013, this is 11 years.
For example,
Or can't you bring it out in phases?
By the end of this year, the first volume is coming out, where we have people like Aki Daru, Obey, and the likes. Even this man we mentioned, Comfort Omegi, and the likes. They are there in the first the book.
Okay.
Then the documentary is still ongoing.
Yes. Any form of sponsorship or you're self-sponsoring?
It is being self-sponsored.
Wow,
but this is the platform where great Nigerians are watching you. I hope that they will come on board, because what you are writing, it's Nigeria's history.
Yes.
You know, you are putting us, you are documenting us. It will be great. Now, tell me more, what was it like playing with Balamila in those days?
What kind of man was he?
Oh, it's just African man. That he just loved to do everything of his in African way. There's no any, maybe let us do something that foreigner, no. Even in dressing, in anything. You really, when I was with him, I was so young. I was in secondary.
How did you get to meet him?
I just, through my father. My father is a musician too. So during the holiday, I just sneak to the hotel. My father will not know. At the end of the day, where have you been? Daddy, I just went to the church. But the church I go is the Balamila's show. From there now, when I develop interest, Balamila find me. What are you doing here? What do you want to do? You want to join? Sir, you have saved my mind. I want to join you. And one of the guitar he first brought from London, he gave it to me. He said, can I play it? Oh, I look at the guitar. It looks so different.
Would have been bigger than you.
But, sir, I will try. He now put me through, give me some script to play. I said, thank you, sir. Since then, I never forget man again.
What has been the most unique and unifying factor among the iconic people you are penciling down their history as well as visually representing them?
The thing is that I've discovered that those guys, when you look at Nigeria now, even in the 40, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, they had this prophetic insight into a nation. Take for example, Sonny Okosun talking about about Nigeria, and then look at Bongo Sukwe. When you look at their songs, Balamina and the likes, they were prophetic. So what we're going through now, they had seen it 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Fela saw it.
Yeah, and they were so natural people. And then these are people you cannot write away. They form the basis.
People foresee. They are able to foresee and to forecast.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Woo! Many years after independence, we still find it hard to
you have to keep it down because you know why? They are playing the music.
God bless Nigeria. We've had a great time with you, Nigerians. Tomorrow is another day. Keep our company again on Weekend Deal, Echoes of the Past.